Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing on this fine, fine day? And it is indeed such a fine day. Just got a little bit lost there in the Moody Blues. It's like, oh yeah. So, and that happens, nothing wrong with that, living in the past, as they would say. But technically, I guess we're living in the past right now, if the future does exist. I happen to think that the future is not defined. But anyway, there I am. I'm seeing myself two times. Song like that. Hey, speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. And if y'all didn't get a chance to see the podcast with Ryder yesterday, well worthy of your time. Was a really I think one of exceptional shows. And I'm going to have both Ryder and hopefully Jay as well. Ryder has put out Jay just finished their second movie. I know it's going to be released on Amazon Prime, and yeah, uh, as I told him, I haven't seen it yet, but just from the trailer, this is kind of Emmy award winning stuff. Yeah. So check out our good friend over there. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel, subscribe. It's always good. I'd like to see him get over 10,000. Ryder is heavily unsubscribed. Great talent. So hello everybody in the chat room. Grace, how are you doing? Good to see you. Doctor's in there and open-minded. Good to see you. Mary Wentz, much love, darling. Lost in Space. John, how are you doing? John Price. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. Lost in Space. Hey, Lauren. Good to see you, darling. And Emperor Rex, Susie Q, good morning to you. Yeah, it's technically, well, it just turned noon here, so. But anyway, go all the way from Croatia. What's up? Good to see you. Hello, Seth. Good to see you. Stephanie Marie, grand afternoon to you, my dear. Lori, Orjuan, good to see you as well. Cecilia, hello. Cecilia, you're breaking my heart. A little, Art Garfunkel, Paul Simon. Hey, Gaia, good to see you and Paul as well. So, yeah, I said in the comment section, the Matrix is broken. I don't think whoever broke it, I don't know if it was us, somebody broke it. I don't think it can be fixed. This show is going to be on reading between the lines, that's where the truth may lie, but geez. Uh, I wasn't going to watch and all that was Kabuki theater. Everything that was done yesterday was theater. There's no legitimacy to it. I mean, you had two hacks on there that should have been disqualified, you know. And then you had another who wasn't being fact checked and that was just lying out of her ass. I mean, listen, Camellia doesn't have, there's nothing to the person. Something I've never heard her ever speak about is God or anything to do with spirituality. Nothing. Wonder why. And now the pictures are resurfacing, with her affair with then Willie Brown, who was the mayor of San Francisco. And, that was just, one of those debacles that you can't erase. They tried, but they can't. And it's just, you're seeing this. And then I look at Trump. This guy is supposedly smart. And I have to say, I mean, he's got a track record. Okay. But there was an episode on The Big Bang where Horowitz, the guy, um he was asked to throw out the first pitch at a baseball game. So he calls one of the dudes that he actually went up on, to the space, and which is a real astronaut, by the way. And the guy said some of the most wisest words. He says, don't do it. It's a no-win situation. Let's say you throw the ball perfectly, no one's going to care. But you screw up, they'll remember that more than anything else. And I looked in just reading the review, and like I said, I didn't waste my time on it. But if Trump is so smart, why agree to terms and conditions that you know are distinctly put you at a disadvantage? Unless you think you're just that freaking smart. I don't know. I mean, why do it? He didn't do a single debate all during the primary season. It's because his ass was tied up in court. So he hit a grand slam with Biden. But then again, you got to weigh the whole thing. I mean, here's Trump, he's younger than Biden and doesn't suffer from dementia. And that was when the beginning of the end happened. You should have just called it quits, Trump. Do what Harris is doing. She doesn't show up she hasn't had a press conference. You shouldn't do a debate. No matter if you hit a grand fucking slam out of the ballpark, you still lost and you'll still lose. It's a no-win scenario. What you should do, Trump, is do town halls. Forget these debates. They're rigged. They're one-sided. You'll never win. You should do and focus for the rest of your campaign on town halls. Now, I get it that the government tried to take you out the first time, so you got the hand of God on you. That's what the preachers are saying. And woe be unto those others that come against the hand of God. Not me, them, but anyway. And that's what you should do, Donald. You should just do town halls. Now, if they're freaking arena size, cool. But you're never going to win on these debates. Just forget about it. That's my commentary. So, yeah. By the way, check out with Ryder Show. I did make some of what my predictions were, what's going to happen in the next 3 months. And one of the things I talked about much more than I usually do, financial markets. If you've got positions in stock, you might want to think about those positions. Each person look at your own thing. And even if you don't, then that's cool. But it's all indicating something bad. Something bad. I'm going to do a show called Train Wrecks. Yeah, there is a train wreck. It's already happening. I don't think it can be stopped. But yeah, bad, bad, bad. So, and it is my prediction that Trump will win the popular vote, but that Biden will be stepping down in October due to cognitive decline, and Madam Harris will be the first female president. And it's just my prediction, my opinion. There's lots of them out there in the press, both, mainstream and off. But I don't believe she will relinquish the presidency. I think that Trump's going to be convicted. I believe it's in December. And I believe that there will be a prison sentence to it. And yeah. So anyway, hey, Nina, what's up, F Kitty? Hello, good to see you. Lady Ellie, hello. Hello, Jules. How are you? Gold and silver in you. Yeah, we do have that. It's true. Hey, Bonnie, what's up? Lori, good to see you. So that's my prediction. There are others. Ryder gave a good scenario. We just know, folks, this was the opening act. Act 2 and Act 3, whoa. On the intermission, I thought that was interesting. I read that calling that you need to make go sure that you go to the snack bar. Make sure you got plenty of drink and plenty of other stuff. Read between the lines what I just said. Because when the second act starts, woo! I mean, and the seats in the theater, we're all in this theater. And I question when we all walked in and we're sitting down, why do they have 5 point seat restraints? I mean, if you go into a theater, typically you wouldn't even think you would have a seatbelt, right? But the theater we're in, they not only got freaking seatbelts, again, they got the 5 point, the ones that the astronauts wear and the pilots and, race car drivers. Yeah. Which tells you that the script coming out, and folks, this is all a script. It is already in action. I mean, you can hear the director, action. I mean, and you got the clipboard tells us exactly, what scene and what take we're on. And what they got prepared for us, as we talked about yesterday with Ryder, a lot of people ain't ready for it. They're just not ready for it. And you have a number of different ways people react. There's a lot of people that realize it. I mean, the signs that they're shouting at us, these big red signs going, danger, 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 Will Robinson, because Americans blind. Americans are blind in so many ways. They're so easily led. I mean, I read somewhere about one of the pop singers making an endorsement. Big fucking deal. I mean, you're not talented. You do nothing. You sing. Okay, well, all right, that may be a talent. But who gives a crap what you do? I mean, what? Are people going to wipe their ass off the toilet paper that you use? I mean, that's how ridiculous endorsements are. But yet, we're blind. We know the vast majority of people, there are very few critical thinkers in this day and age. And there's even less free thinkers. And free thinkers are the ones that the controllers fear the most because there's just that. They'll question their own existence. And if one has the advanced higher level cognitive ability to question your own existence, it puts you basically 99.9% above everyone else. Most people don't even understand free thinkers. They say they're tolerant, but they've become the most intolerant. Open-mindedness means exactly that. In other words, you have not drawn to any conclusions. Not that there are. Life teaches you those things. But when you really look at it, few people really. I have a sweatshirt, you'll see it this winter, and it says, question your own reality. We all should question our own reality and reality itself. I mean, to tell you how, this is why I don't understand, unless both these Republicans and Democrats are in on this. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why would Trump do this? But anyway, it's like, sure. But Trump could have come up with the unified theory, that Einstein couldn't come up with, Hawking couldn't come up with, the great physicist of our times. And Trump could have come up with that. The unified theory ties everything together. We figured it out. The most advanced language is mathematics. Music is mathematics. If you are a great lover of music, you have part of that ability to understand the true language of spirits and the universe, which is math. And that you hadn't thought about that one, huh? So spirit, I don't even like math. It doesn't matter. But that one thing where it ties it all together. Humanity would take a huge leap and evolution. Trump could have come up with that last night. No one would have listened. It would have been deemed a lie, misinformation, yada, yada, yada. So, and it's true. I like a good debate. When I was in high school, actually, I started in junior high. I was in the debate club. I liked it. It taught me because I had such a fucked up home environment. What it was teaching me was how to think critically. I used to teach sales on a corporate level. I mean, companies would pay big bucks to have me come in and teach their sales group sales, primarily on sales psychology. But yeah, how about that, huh? But debate will teach you to become critical thinkers. And if it's a true debate, not with these moderators that are already biased, a moderator should not, really have anything to do other than ask submitted questions, not their own. But that's what debate does. And if you were probably like me, I was in the band, played the clarinet, played the bassoon. But I was also in theater. We did The Merchant of Venice, and that taught me another aspect, of this cat named Shakespeare. But that's not what we saw last night. Again, we saw theater, not a debate. But anyway, those are just my opinions. Hey, wanted to show y'all something. So, talked to you yesterday with the ladies, and wasn't that a great show? Afterwards, we all had to go, but wow, that was a great, great hour and 15 minutes, I think. Hello, Off the Hook. What's up? Good to see you, Mike. Experiment. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Joyce, hello. Um, so allow me. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, I know what I have to do. Excuse me. I have to pull that up there. Then pull me into that reality. That's what these shows are, seriously. When I show something up there, it impacts your reality. Far fucking out. I don't care what someone's wrote in a comment, you have a foul mouth. Well, you ought to learn to grow up. I have been in board meetings, I've been in political meetings that you think I have a potty mouth. You're just a newbie then. But anyway, I digress. So there is Bugsy, hello, little guy. The rabbit that just showed up. You can see now he has doubled about 2.5 times, 3 times since he showed up on our doorstep. He now has a permanent place, but there is the magical rabbit. Look at those eyes. I mean, he doesn't run from me. That's what's really odd. But if Lynn's behind me or someone else, he won't stick around. But there he is. Yes, he does exist. Yeah. Someone said, is he just making this up? No. There he is. That's Bugsy. I still just think he's an adorable type of rabbit, as they would say. But yeah, so let me get back over here as he pulls in over there. And now we are ready to go. Hey, guy, I just now saw your email. I have to check that out. Okay. So Bugsy really does exist. Magical rabbit. That's all I got to say. So I got a thing. Tomorrow I'm going to do this show. And I already got the title. In fact, I'll probably post it after this one. Hey, Gilbert, what's up? Tastes like chicken. That's true. RF, how are you doing? Good to see you, Deborah. Hello, darling. Salt of the earth. Hello, what's up? So tomorrow I'm going to do this show, and it's be a lot of commentary, but so when we dream, the better you get at dreaming, the more often those whom we have already been with, and maybe not in this life cycle, but we're attached to them. And this is just an ongoing hypothesis that I continue to roll over in my mind and my spirit is that I believe we have families. And I don't know, I'm sure I'll remember once I make the transition as to why that we come here. I said that when I had the visit to the bridge, that I was told many of us are spirit guides in training. And I thought, how interesting, because that would be a definite sign of progression. Because if you're a spirit guide, think about it. How often does the one who you're trying to guide listen? Unless they're an empath or intuitive, and unless they were able to carry the truth from childhood through the change adolescence to the adulthood, then most people really don't know that they have a spirit guide. Religion came in and plagiarized it. You know, you have a guardian angel. Well, where do you think they got that at from? But I think one of the most challenging missions would be a spirit guide. I mean, think about all the stuff that you've done. And many of you knew your spirit guide was talking to you. And I do believe people have multiple spirit guides. Some have a singular, but I think the family gets involved. That's what I call it, the family. Um, because they have a vested interest in you. There must be something that we have got to accomplish here in order to complete what we have already begun. And so think about the frustration that a spirit guide can't tell you, but can guide you. But you ultimately make that choice, which is probably the true definition of free will. And I thought more and more on this that would be, wow, you'd have to have a sense of tolerance, patience. You'd have to be able to endure great pain. At the times, there would be great joy. But I think the vast majority of spirit guides endure tremendous pain. And it takes a really strong spirit to do that. Like I said, it's just something that I think about and meditate on. But tomorrow, um, it's titled, I already got the title, Meeting Your Tribe in the Dream World. And I say this because I experienced a dream last night, folks, which was so real. And the characters that showed up, I've seen them before. They have entered into my, and I don't know necessarily if it's my dream world or that the fact that dream world is a creative playground. It's a plane where we can go from this plane of existence that those that live on the other planes can come in. Do you understand? And I think tomorrow we're going to talk about this. So think about it with your, if you have some thoughts on this, because this dream was so real. I could smell things. And there was this particular person. I mean, mm, mm, mm. One of the things I learned, and they put it in the movie, what was that? Not Inversion, the one that I think Brad Pitt was in. I'll think of where they go into dreams. and they can actually manipulate the dreamscape. Inception, that's what it was. And wow, this was so real to me. And this is what blew my mind. The person that I was in this dream reacting with said to me, "We have known each other before, and we will always know each other." I mean, looked directly into my eyes, and I remembered it distinctly. Now, the other thing about dreamscapes is that, the reality plane is constantly shifting. That's what makes it so freaking far out. And if you can remember to look at your hands or your feet, that really ups up your level of being able to interact. And there were these four dudes. Now, these four dudes have followed me all of my freaking life. They have shown up as angels. They've shown up as, and I finally figured it out last night. It's like, I'm a part of them and they're a part of me. I think they're having as much fun as I was having in the dreamscape. You know what I mean? So anyway, um, Lady Ellie says, reality with dreams. Isn't that the truth? I mean, it's true. Well, Rick, that's a sleepless night for her. But so think about it. And folks, I think we all have this. I really do. We know each other here, and I'm convinced as well is that the reason this group has stayed together. I mean, we've had some challenges. Think about the people who have come in. There was disruptions and yada yada yada, but there is a core group here that's just resilient, and you know, we live our own lives, but yet there's this string. I'm convinced that the our true family. I mean, these are the ones you really love, folks. The reason why you can love here is that because you loved over there. And those bonds, and it was strange how these thoughts get dumped into you. I mean, here I'm almost talking the show, but um, it's almost like when we depart to come into this realm, there is sadness. There is um, because we come in on sometimes on some very dangerous missions, and they love you, and they reach out many times through your dreams. And this is not necessarily your paternal parents, say, or siblings, brothers and sisters. No, folks, that's not your real family. You're living that, but they're not. And anyway, so there we go. Um, that's all I can say about that. But anyway, uh, Salter there says, my mom always told me you don't know what threads hold two or more people together. Maybe not for anyone to even question. We just know it's a strong thread. Yeah, true that. And I have a feeling that, a couple of years ago, the twin flame thing was, going around. But and maybe it's not necessarily the one that you're married to or are with, but each of us have this other. And you get into it and you start thinking about, because I did. In some cases, there's this profound sadness because that's what I experienced. It is like you meet and in the dreamscape scape, it's real. And if you can remember conversations, and that not all dreams will do that. It's a playground. It's a great place for, someone said it proves consciousness. I believe dreams do. So anyway, um, Michelle says we are our own twin flames. See? Yeah. Yoda says, "We are the Dream Weavers." Great album, by the way, isn't it? Saw Gary Wright on my 18th birthday along with Yes. So thank you, Nancy Carmichael. Um, I love this. You got the memory here, and it's just so fucking far out because, you can pull out the hard drives and the memory sticks, and it's like, yeah. Uh, wow, Rick, brother, that's well, I'm just going to send out, yeah, and he wrote it in the chat room, so I'm going to see. He says, truth be told, my wife just lost her six-figure job. That's not easy. His cancer has come back, so yeah, there's a storm brewing inside my world. Well, brother, guess what? You ain't alone. I got lots of energy I can send your way. Absolutely. Brother, and I just speak favor and prosperity over you. You and your wife both. That's a challenge. Because there's that many six-figure jobs that are out there. So we love you, brother. I mean, Rick is, I have not met you, but I feel like I have known you. It's like a brother from another mother, much like Gilbert. And you know, that touched me. And so we'll send some of that smooth energy on over there. And I'll just start speaking that I see your wife finding a new opportunity at the same level or even more. All things are possible for him who believes. Yeah. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. If you would say unto this mountain, be ye moved, that's a mountain. Losing a job is a mountain. It's an obstacle. But if you say, get the fuck out of my path, and do not doubt in your heart, but believe that those things for which you say and speak shall come to pass, they shall. Those are truths. It's reading between the line. I mean, listen, if they incorporate it into a religious ideology or theology, well, I attended several of Zig Ziglar's meetings. And he said, one of the things that Earl Nightingale had pointed off so often, and I grew up, I was fortunate enough to have these great thinkers enter into my thought process that I never realized the gold that they were transferring over into me. And anyway, if they incorporate it into scripture, this, it has a foundation of more solid truth than anything else. There's one that I always remember. It's impossible to please God without faith. For whoever would approach God must believe that he fundamentally exists and is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. All right, that sounds very religious, right? But it's not. There's a foundation of truth within that. It's not the worship of the idolization of a physical personality being. No. But it tells you that if you earnestly seek out there, the universe is an open slate, that if you believe that you are rewarded for those efforts, the diligency that all of us play by reading, studying, thinking, this is what this group does, that there is a reward for that. And I'm telling you, I speak it all the time, y'all know it, faith. Never underestimate the power of faith. I know this in my spirit. It's a part of my fabric. I understand the power of faith. Faith can literally change your destiny. That's how powerful it is. So anyway, moving right on along. Hey, Stephen, what's up? Good to see you. Just reading some of the comments. Faith, I mean, it's a big freaking deal. Hello, Robert Scott. How are you? Good to see you, brother. B, what's up? In my dream, the right side of the plane was gone and the left had no. Oh, wow. Now that is pretty cool. You know, You gotta love that. It's an amusement park. It really is. And I think that those who wait for us or are part of us on the other side, they get it as well. They're like, yeah, we kind of dig, you know. Where y'all going? Ah, we're going into the dreamscape. We're out there to go meet Mary. It's like, okay, far out. All right. Mr. Floyd said, it's faith that I go live daily channeling. By the way, Mr. Floyd, he's invited me on his channel. We're going to do that. I think it's going to be interesting. And Mr. Floyd, put in your channel so people can check you out as well. I love this group. I mean, seriously, I got, and this is no bullshit. We would be paid about $5,000 per sales exec. And our program was a weekend program. Start Friday night, but Saturday morning in earnest, go all day for 8 to 10 hours. And similarly on Sundays, within 6 to 8 hours and dismiss. But when you get into high level sales psychology and training, what I found so fascinating was that I was learning these techniques on others. I was teaching it. And this thing called faith that lived within me. And faith has to be exercised. It's not that it doesn't always exist, but if you learn to use your faith regularly, you become stronger in faith than those around you. And it was always interesting to see the epiphany of the account executives, male and female, how teaching them fundamentals of faith, applying faith into your sales job. Because depending on what type of sales, if you work strictly on commission, that becomes really a big deal. And if you're in highly competitive markets, like I was in the post-production industry, highly specialized, but highly competitive. I worked with the pharmaceutical companies. Very hard to break into it, but once you do break into it, you have to be on your A game. And when you have, quotas that you have to meet, we're not talking $1 million. My quotas regularly were 10 to $15 million. That's what I had to produce in a year's time. So, yeah. And if any of you are kind of interested in that, let me know. Most people, it's not something that they pursue, but for me it has, and for me it was, and I'm glad for it. It's shaped my philosophy. Quite amazing, isn't it? uh, Lynn, thank you, darling. It's good to be back indeed. So, Mr. Floyd, you're welcome. Yeah. So if in your sales, are you creating sales for the mind bondage of the material world? I don't look at it as that, no. What I looked at is that one of the things I taught is in any salesperson, because we're all salespeople, you sell yourself every day and don't try to deny it. All of us do, even into the spirit world. I've asked before, do spirits trust you? But one of the foundation of sales is understanding, as I used to teach this, is that people are not looking for reasons to be sold. They're seeking affirmation as to why they're buying, which means that most people who are amateurs in sales, they try to push the sale too hard, and they think that they're there to convert the prospect. That's not it at all. The prospect wouldn't be there unless there was already the foundation of desire for whatever that is. I mean, we had one of the best digital computer graphics animation departments in the country. When we would go to the National Broadcasting Association's annual meeting, our facility would buy millions of dollars in new computer graphics equipment and cameras and what have you. And so you would go to the leading ad agencies. I mean, we're talking, the top nine, and to break in there to get to actually get a creative director to listen to you, yeah. So anyway, I digress and didn't mean to do all that, but yeah, part of what I lived through. Hey, Jan, what's up? Uh, shall we continue? I had this wanted to bring this out because someone had brought this up, and I thought it was really interesting. So this is, as you can see, it's a short paper, but it's really interesting because I just talked about the psychology of sales, and I worked with some great PhDs in any way. But I was also taught this other time, that I was walking my spiritual walk, still am, that when people read their Bibles, because, that's what you did, you know, small group, but, those who were diligent, that it wasn't the words necessarily that were so important. It was what was between the words. And you look at this from a certain logic, you say, well, that doesn't make sense. If the writer was going to write something, why'd you just write it out there? Well, because it's very obvious knowledge, the esoteric knowledge, I'll put it that way, is not for the general human being. Mm-mm. There's an initiation to everything. This group has been initiated. If you've ever been involved in a religious denomination, initiation. You ever got out of it? Initiation, many of you know. So I found this one really interesting. So, and we got some others up here I just wanted to realize as I look at the time. So this is the Roman Catholic Church's top secret interpretations of the Judeo-Christian scriptures that are mythological tales secretly blanketing out the Bible's invisible spiritual knowledge. Isn't that a mouthful? I mean, if you just break this one down, you're going to walk and you're going to go. It's kind of like Ryder said yesterday. You become a nihilist. I ain't going to believe any of this stuff because it's so counterintuitive, right? It's like, well, if you're reading the Bible, isn't that a religious thing? Not necessarily. There's a lot of good stuff. It's, I could say that about a lot of holy books I've read that weren't necessarily, of the Abrahamic faith. I mean, you have to admit the modern era of what we would call the left-hand path, dealing, with Satan, the devil, Lucifer, and all the demons and what have you. We are a creative species. I mean, I read some of this stuff, and I think, we talked about yesterday, I've done a lot of LSD. Well, some of these people have been on trips. I have no freaking way how they got there. It's quite interesting to read it. But yeah. So anyway, the preliminary states this. It says, what I'm about to reveal relating to the secret, invisible, esoteric, nonfiction, mathematical, Semitic word patterns. Code is what it's talking about. That were structured into the Judeo-Christian scriptures will appear by the average reader to be extremely difficult to comprehend because that knowledge was never discussed by the rabbis, the Catholic priest, and or college scholars. And there is truth here. All of us, I think, many of us, I will say that there is knowledge that, again, is not meant for the average person. I think how the modern interpretation of when they hijack this and put it into the Hellenistic Christian religion, and Christianity is a Hellenistic religion. It's not original. It's Hellenistic. But anyway, the proverb says you can't throw pearls before the swine. Or as, Sarah Palin, which I think she must have been talking about Harris, you can't put lipstick on a pig and think it's going to be anything but a pig. Um, Goes on to say, I write about the Judeo-Christian scriptures, and think about it. We know from a spellcaster. I mean, that book, it's a heavy spell. I know. I fell under it for decades. And holy crap, as we have many of you have experienced when you have to rebuild stuff again. Like, jeez. This document, it says, what I write about the Judeo-Christian scriptures in this document will make most readers think I'm mentally ill. Of course, that would be well thought out if I did not envisage the invisible, esoteric, again, non-fictional, mathematical, Semitic word patterns in the Judeo-Christian scriptures. It's like speaking in tongues. You don't speak in tongues in the middle of a gathering. What? Now, I've seen some drunk people speaking in tongues, but they were more possessed by spirits. But anyway, what I'm just saying, you don't do that because they'll think you're nuts. It says those mathematical patterns will validate a great deal of what I'm trying to convey about the Judeo scriptures. There has to be a very spiritual significant reason the religious and governments around the world were extremely silent about those invisible mathematical patterns for over 3,500 years. Well, we know it's the elites. And in today, when you hit a certain dollar threshold, these people think they have become elites. They're not. They're anything but. They'll never be accepted into the elitist circles. Most of us never will be either. Why? Because we question everything. But anyway, says, I know that it's very strange that humanity read the sacred scriptures around the world, similar to how any esoteric fiction novel is read. The Christian scriptures are theoretically read as if they were conveying historical knowledge about people and places that exist prior to the Bible being written. And that again is such a clever mind technique. I got a book right in here. I just want to go over very quickly. This is The Alien Control, from the Phenomenology to Cognitive Neurobiology. And we're going to get into this probably a little bit later, as I'm looking at the time, probably tomorrow. Yeah, the basis of it is this, boiling it down. If you read it, you have to be very careful that you don't put yourself on the fly paper. The problem with fly paper is that you can still think, but you're stuck. You're trapped. It says, however, those individuals that read my books and our academic papers will intellectually visualize that the Judeo-Christian scriptures were mathematically written, because mathematics are spiritually the word of God. And I don't have any problem with that. I think math is God. I mean, not this Judeo-Christian God or the Islamic God or whoever. No, 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 no. I mean, if there is this God, the centralized consciousness, it has to think in math, because everything extends out from math. That's just my perspective. Goes on to read, he says, for over 3,500 years, Judeo-Christian scriptures, surface textually wording, were read normally as if they were the word of God. And that's what I believed for decades. Carried my Bible wherever I was on the road, carried my Bible. You know, I look back on it and, I got my Amplified Bible, looking at it over on my bookshelf. It's amazing. I go back and read it, and the notes that I was writing 30 years ago, I'm looking at this and going, Steiger, man, you just did, that was a signpost, dude. You didn't see it at the time. But it's interesting because how your mind reacts to something that you put into it, like in this case, the Bible, which I thought was the, Word of God. fully authorized version by the King James, by the way, right? Um, but yet my mind, or maybe it was my spirit, who knows, maybe both, was seeing something I wasn't quite up to speed with. Well, that's weird because I look at it now and I go, well, how about you, dude? Yeah, had no idea, none. Um, Also, there are mysterious Hebrew words that are used to aid the reader to interpret those mathematical patterns, and this is true. Those Hebrew words are mysterious because they do not mean what is normally thought their meaning were. Don't we know that? Here's one that was interesting, and because it ties into what we were talking about just the other day. Example, God said, let there be light. You know, everybody knows that. You don't even have to be a believer or a Christian believe. Yeah, you've heard that. Genesis 1:3. Now, light, we now know as light is that, all right, so if God said this, then there had to be something listening. And this light is not the light that which we think light is. Anyway, he writes, what do you think God meant when he said that? Also, what do you think God meant when he says, and God saw the light and it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness? This is some deep esoteric shit, man. Any way you look at this. And we know we've discussed this, and it's great to review. So we know light is not light. It's a question I have that if this God is that freaking smart, well, do you mean he wasn't sure if light was good or bad? No. I mean, what was he doing? Was he rolling the dice, or did he have his playing the roulette table, playing Black 29? I mean, I don't know. And then we found out this thing gets into the deep physics of this thing, that there is a light that has darkness within it, and that we see a perspective where it's supposedly separate. He goes on to say, he says, I below discuss light and darkness. However, right now, I can tell you that light actually is referring to major or minor light chakras. Religious topic taught in many Eastern religions, and darkness means earthly knowledge, carnal. By the way, it's an interesting book if you ever read it, Carnal Knowledge. Anyway, thus readers should understand that not knowing and this knowledge keeps readers in the realm of darkness, which is not visible. Well, we can just tear that one apart too as well. I said, well, all right, so the realm of darkness. I would argue with the writer of this saying, well, technically that's where your God came from, right? Or are you saying that darkness was created? That what came from the nothingness in the beginning? The word of God was. I mean, I don't buy that. Excuse me, not for a second. Darkness, and if that's the case, if light did not exist before, then light is an artificial construct because it was not the natural state of things. Is that why darkness was a part of light? And today we live in this and we're taught this, that, there is light and there's darkness. And then you have this in between, right? But those are so finite. So if this being, which I don't think is a being at all, if it came from something that the light wasn't there, then it altered the fabric of reality? Does a being have that much power that we're living in this illusion that was created by this? Because that's what it's saying. Let there be light did not exist, was not a natural part of order, or you could say was not a natural part of nature itself. It was brought in artificially through a thought. Was that thought corrupted? How did that thought originate to take something that did not exist and suddenly impose upon it as though that's what existence is? And then you got the esoteric meaning of that is that, well, light means knowledge, wisdom. Well, we get that whole story, how they regurgitated that one to where now it's stated that somehow wisdom and knowledge and light is evil. But here, if this God said, let there be light, then how the hell is that not evil? It altered things. Anyway, I love these descriptions. He says also every Hebrew letter is formatted by two or more Hebrew letters, two threes. The first Hebrew letter of the Judeo-Christian scripture is Beth, which is the second Hebrew letter, which is inundated and surrounded by Pi. That is the 17th Hebrew letter. Thus, 2 plus 17 symbolize the 19th Hebrew letter of the Quorif, I believe I'm right on that, which is the first of four Hebrew cosmic letters that spell out the word Christ. Okay. Christ is not Jesus. Christ is an office, it's a state. And this one would almost say that it is, in fact, the universe. I don't know. Looking at the time, folks, because I respect your time. Anyway, this is a fun little thing. We'll get back into it because he really does do a good job, I think, in bringing out how you look at the esoteric, you look at the occult, you look at this Gnosis thing, they're all tied together. I mean, that thread is quite prevalent in all three of them. But anyway, great discussion point. And the alien thing, wait till we get in that paper. I mean, that one kind of really gets into your skin. You're going, all right, so how did I know I did not infect myself by reading that? I mean, there's no harm in just reading it, right? I mean, it's not going to do anything to me. It's not going to change or alter me. But sure enough, Mac, it does. That's why I think a lot of times, are we just all under a spell? We don't know it. It's like, I thought something was up on this. I don't know. Caesar Borgia, who was known as Jesus Christ, who was the son of Alexander the Great Pope. You see? 9 years ago, I did a thing on Philo, one of my great first century philosophers. And lo and behold, I thought it was so odd because Philo was in fact in Jerusalem in 33 AD, if you put it in that time frame. Spent 2 years there. Never mentioned any Messiah, any rabbi, no crucifixion, no, none of that. But I digress. What was it in the book of Acts? They said that it was in Antioch that where the first term Christian came from. I don't know if many of you knew that, but that's supposedly that's where the word came from. Was they called these people because the Antiochians looked at these this cult. That's what they considered them, Christians, to be a cult. They said they're mad, crazy. Should have listened. All right, surely indeed. Um, yeah, the whole Jesus character. I mean, so if you look at the pseudo-apocrypha, I mean, you got the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. She got her some Jesus, you know. Yeah. He spilled his seed in her womb and they had children. Now we don't hear that stuff, man. That's why it was never part of the Bible. It's like, could you imagine the King James cats there? So they've already done the whole thing that was done in Rome, right? And I come across this book going, hell no, we ain't putting that shit. Oh, no, 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 no. Not going to happen. All right, folks. Thank you again. I always love coming into this. It's always fun. And you have to admit the matrix is broken. Gurney once said. It's odd because we're not of this realm. We're just not. We're strangers in a strange land. And what makes it even stranger is that when the strangers begin to wake up to the fact that they're in a strange land, and they're going, oh crap, so now what do we do? Well, we begin to study on our own. We go through these journeys, and along the way, we find others that, they got the same epiphany, the same note, and then we begin to continue to grow. We share those knowledges and we mix the knowledges, and at the whole time, we're just now trying to figure out, well, how do you get out of this thing safely? Well, the thing is, we found out no one gets out alive. So take it from there. All right, folks, much love to you. As Mary Wins always says, love one. And I happen to believe that as well. Wayne, walk bare feet up on Mother Earth. If limited home, she is not, but even if you just walk outside and stand the ground today, a message to for all love. I'll do that. So, absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie. I don't want it to be boring. Could you just imagine that? Oh, yeah, that wouldn't be any fun. All right, folks, I've taken a little bit more of your time there, but I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, we're going to be titling it Meeting Your Tribe in the Dream World. They're talking to us. Yeah, that's all I got to say. F. Kitty, thank you. Yeah, thank you, all you seekers. Thank you for hitting the like button. If you haven't subscribed, I can't imagine that would be the case. Please subscribe. Even if you think you subscribe, make sure that you have subscribed, because sometimes things seem to happen. That's all I know. Prosperity. Yeah, yeah. I mean, folks, I'll continue to talk about faith. I mean, in prosperity, again, if you're living and you're in reasonably good health, you're prosperous. There's no doubt about it. All right. Much love until we see each other tomorrow, of which we will. Have a good day and speak the words that you believe.